Okay, welcome. I'm so excited to have Emily with us today. She's incredible. I'm going to read you her bio, but then I'm going to tell you why I love her and why I want to share her with you. She is the founder of Dine Wilder. If you follow her on Instagram, you'll see she puts on the most gorgeous events and Graze Wilder. She's known for bringing people together in real life through experiences that make people feel seen, connected, and more confident in themselves. If you've ever had an opportunity to attend one of her events, you know that it feels very different. It does not just feel like a networking event, it feels like it's very based around connection. Her work is rooted in a softer, more feminine approach to leadership. You can already see that when you look at her. One led through warmth, intuition, emotional intelligence, and genuine connection. Emily believes the key to success is jumping before we fully feel ready and trusting ourselves enough to begin. She's grown her audience by bringing people along for the imperfect journey and sharing what it looks like to learn through the process. She is a mom to two and a wife with a background in hospitality, travel, and community building. She champions the idea that softness can exist together and that some of the strongest leaders are those who create spaces where others feel safe to grow, speak honestly, and step fully into themselves. Now, I met Emily last summer for the first time, and we attended this event for a slipper company called Maven Shea. Right when I got out of my car was when I met her, and immediately there was a contagious energy about her. But then when we went inside, they had a guest speaker, Michelle Romanoff from Dragon's Den, who was in attendance, and she was doing a fireside chat. Now, I always watch rooms. When I go in, I observe people and see what they're doing. And most people were watching Michelle Romanoff, realizing this was an incredible opportunity to talk to somebody who was so far advanced in their business. But you could see that they were afraid to ask the questions. They didn't seize the opportunity. And then I looked at Emily, and she sat herself directly in front of her, and she's asking questions away. And so I want to start here because I think that sums up sort of how I started to see you and immediately thought, like, this woman is bold. I love that she goes after things. So, how do you get out of your head in situations like that?
I will also never forget meeting you because I pulled up and I was in full on networking flow at that point, selling tickets to a conference that I was hosting in October. And so, with full honesty, I didn't even know what I was going to. Pulled up at this house in West Van, which was, of course, beautiful. Well, my biggest takeaway was this small, little, perfectly feminine package that walked past my door.
Oh.
And you had these heels on, and I never see anyone walking uphill in heels other than me. And you were just carrying yourself so perfectly. And I thought, who is that? So I had the same immediate, oh my goodness, about you as well. So thanks for reminding me about that. Um, Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming on the call on Saturday morning. I don't know any faces other than Joy posted a story this week, which was so wonderful. And I'm like squealing with excitement to see Marta as well. um, I am building something based on human connection and bringing people together, based on the thought that everyone holds the same value in a room. And I actually don't hold so much weight against someone being a Dragon's Den judge or the cleaner at Starbucks who I speak to every single day. So once you start to just think that everybody's equal and has so much to offer in all different ways, um, I think you have no nerve speaking to anybody. And so to me, that why on earth would you miss the opportunity to pick Michelle's brains in that situation? She's started where we've all started, and has an incredible founder story that I wanted to hear more about. And so I think it was just like no thought given. I just always do it. I would just always ask the question. For me, the biggest regret ever would be leaving a room and thinking, I wish I'd given someone that compliment, or I wish I'd asked the question, or I wish I'd taken the opportunity. And so I just do it. And I also ask the stupid questions that people also might be thinking, but then ask for fear of sounding silly. So I'll just put my hand up and say, I don't know what that acronym means, or like, How did you do that? What does that mean? I don't know what an angel investor is, or whatever the question. And you see everyone else taking an exhale in the room as well once you've asked the question. Um, yeah, but I did definitely perch myself directly in front of her that day.
Mhm. Was there a moment in your life where you felt unprepared and you moved anyways?
Always, every day, I'm completely unprepared. And if you're waiting to feel prepared, it will never come. And if you do ever reach that, maybe you do, the moment's gone. I think you've missed the moment, either because you're wanting to create something new and you're stuck in the perfection and the strategy. And by the time you've done it, someone like me with way less experience, with way less thought, has started it. The wheels are in motion and they've gained the reps in real time. And we've got real, tangible data on how to improve. And by that point, we're quite good at it. So
Mhm.
I've never waited. I always just go for it. And I think the period of time between your idea and putting something into motion, all of the logic and the best wished advice will come into play and it will start making you doubt yourself. And it will sometimes the things that you need to think about potentially will scare you too much into doing it. I started a catering business when my baby was 10 weeks old. If I'd have researched for 2 seconds what it would involve to be in the food industry, never, ever would I have started a food business. It would never would I have done that. I just decided one day, everyone feels disconnected around me. How could we bring them together? I think cheese brings people together. Let's just start a charcuterie business. First door I knock on, um, somebody says, "Where's your kitchen?" And I thought, I could hear my mum saying, "Don't tell them the full truth, just tell them, part of the truth. Don't lie, but just you don't need to tell them all the truth." So I said, "My kitchen is downtown Squamish." It was in my home. I didn't know I needed to be in a legitimate kitchen. And so all of these things happened the week after I had a legit kitchen, then I had the insurance and all the things. I wouldn't have ever started it if I'd have waited to be ready. So I think it's the best way to learn as you throw the spaghetti. And what I do differently is I bring people along for the journey of watch me learn. And I think that inspires people. And it also helps me think, well, if it all goes wrong, maybe I've inspired someone else to try. So I don't mind showing like the bloopers and the mess behind the scenes as well.
When you think of confidence, do you think confidence comes before action or because of action?
Um, The word I just thought of then when you asked was audacity. Like, I think you need to be audacious to try something, but I don't know if that means you need to be really confident. Um, People often introduce me or use the term fake it till you make it. And I actually don't really resonate with that because I don't believe in faking it or pretending that you know what you're doing. I do the thing, but I'm really honest in saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but you can come along for the journey and watch me learn. Um, However, as you're in it, you start to build confidence in yourself that even if it goes wrong or off plan or something unexpected happens, that you can pick yourself up and keep moving and pivot. So I think it all kind of comes hand in hand. You need a little bit of confidence. Um, or maybe you fake the confidence while you say, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe that's what you do. And then as you do it, you collect the data and you start to look at the evidence of what you are capable of doing.
Mhm.
Um, I think networking and being in rooms, which I'm often asked about, that is a muscle that we can just build. And I think that is something that you need to do while you don't feel fully confident, because you will realize that not much bad's going to happen from speaking to the stranger or taking the opportunity. And you'll gain the skills while you're in it.
Okay, you live your life in a very different way than probably the majority of people. And so I would imagine in business and in life, people are saying, like, oh, you need to slow down, or that's not exactly how you should do it. How do you handle those people and those thoughts?
I think it's different seasons. At times, it's got under my skin a little bit and it's maybe made me a little bit defensive. At other times, it's forced me to try and rest. And now I just feel really confident in that I feel really good moving really quickly. And I'm not preaching that everyone else needs to do that. I just know myself and know what feels good. We just went to the UK for the last 3 weeks and I didn't feel very good stopping work. I wasn't able to work because there wasn't really any Wi Fi where we were. And I love what I do so much. I actually didn't really enjoy the rest. I loved spending time with the kids, obviously, and my relatives that we visited in the area. But in the back of my mind, all I could think was, I wish I could just have a couple of hours every day to work. So it was quite a good test that I had this forced rest. Um, Now I've been in the thick of work again this week, and sounds stupid, but like having some time on my own in the car to put my music on when I've dropped the kids off at school or driving to a meeting, I feel like me again. So it's been a great lesson in actually, you might feel really good signing off for a couple of weeks, and I believe in that. But for me, I just love to move really quickly. The only thing that you need to be careful of is that you're enjoying the process. And I think I am quite good at enjoying the process while I'm in it. I know people who move really quickly, and it's because they're chasing some pivotal moment on mountaintop. And I think that's where you can get really quite down because you reach it and you look around at the money or the success or whatever, and you realize, like, is it that important? Like, what now? And I think you can crash a little bit once you get to this pinnacle moment that you've built up in your head. So I think I love moving quickly, but also really being quite grounded as I'm doing it and enjoying the journey of it, enjoying the build.
I want to shift to Dine Wilder. So if you are in Vancouver or Squamish, you've probably heard of her events. She sort of disrupted Vancouver in the way that we do networking, the way that events are held. Can you explain a little bit of the inspiration behind Dine Wilder and how you've built this?
So, in true Emily fashion, I started Graze Wilder charcuterie 5 years ago, um, always knowing that actually what I love about the food and the catering is what it does. It brings people together. I don't love being in the kitchen making the cheese platters. I thought that I did, and I did it for a long time, but I love delivering to people's houses. And so once everything opened up with COVID, I would really overstay at the strangers' baby shower, at the birthday. You know, I'd promise my husband I was nipping out for a minute to go and do a quick delivery, and I'd be gone for hours at this stranger's baby shower. And as I'm in these situations, would continuously hear that people felt so disconnected. This was in like 2022. I think the world was feeling it and still are actually. Um, and I couldn't shake this feeling of, God, I feel so connected. How can all these people feel disconnected? And so this seed was planted of, I must do something to solve the disconnect. And everyone would tell me, well, you are because you're catering everything and bringing people together. Um, anyway, a couple of years ago in 2024, there was 5 doors in a row that I knocked on, and it was like when you're open to signs and it's not so woo woo, it's real. When you're open to them, you see it everywhere. You just need to move quickly in your decision process, but slowly in the moment, in the interactions with the people in the supermarket or at the gas station. Like, listen to what's going on around and the conversations that are being had in the elevator because you pick up what's really happening in the world and how people really feel. And it was like 5 houses in a row over a couple of days. I would deliver their charcuterie platter and they would tell me they felt disconnected. And I'm very action based. So once I'd heard this from the fifth woman, I walked in the house and threw my keys on the counter and I was like, let's just cure this disconnect. How are we going to do it? It's probably the dinner table. At the time, no long table dinner series existed. Now they're everywhere, which is amazing. But like, it was really bizarre to tell people, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make hosting dinners a full time job. everybody told me it was ridiculous. Like, that's what women do on a Friday evening, or, as if it's the 1950s. And I was thinking, this is a service. I'm connecting people, I'm curing people's loneliness. So, long story short, I decided I would host a brunch in my garden, and I went out on the street and just spoke to the first 28 people that I bumped into and said, do you want to come to this thing in my garden? E-transfer me $85, just pulled the number out of nowhere. I had no idea what it was going to involve. And they would ask me, what is it? And I said, I have no idea, but you're going to leave feeling like this. And it taught me how to sell a feeling, and that's what people want. And in 2024, people did want a bit more data. Now in 2026, you can sell anything on a feeling. You don't need the data, I don't think. You don't need the granular description of the event. You can sell a feeling. And so, of course, everybody wanted to feel like, however I described it, connected, part of something, alive, confident. And everyone came. And the night before, I thought, I'm going to hire a photographer because I think this is going to be on the cover of magazines. And this is going to be the biggest membership in North America for women. And this is going to be da 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 da. And I
Bold. I love it.
completely and totally ridiculous because it was just a dinner table in my garden for breakfast. But I just knew it and I had such conviction, and it's all coming true. And the photographer that I worked with now has worked with me for every single event I've hosted over the last 18 months. It has been the dinner in my garden on the front of magazines, and we're launching a membership on June 1st. So I think as well, if I know you haven't asked this question and this is a total tangent, but if you're building something, or you go for the promotion, or you've met the partner, or whatever it is, if you've got total conviction in yourself and what you're able to achieve, it's really hard for anyone to question it. If you pitch an idea, or you share an idea with a friend or a loved one or a colleague, and you show a little bit of self doubt, they will buy into that, and they will hear your tone and see your eye contact, and they will know that you have a bit of self doubt. And even if they're doing it with the best intentions, they will soak up that energy. If you tell people you're about to start the largest female membership in North America, and you just sound absolutely committed to the goal, what are they going to say? And even if they say anything, you're just on the mission. So it's completely ridiculous that I decided to make hosting a full-time job. But it's worked and it's happening. And it's because I've moved really quickly, made decisions really fast. And I think I am, to bring in how you work and what you teach, a really feminine approach in doing it as well, because these traits that I have sometimes are seen as being masculine, I think. Um, but I'm kind of combining both and hopefully showing people that there's another way of moving quickly, that it doesn't need to be careless, and that you don't have compassion for people and you don't care about other people. Like, I'm just bringing everyone along with me for the journey of it.
Which traits do you feel are masculine when you say that?
Um, I don't think this is correct now, but I think years ago, I would think having a goal and just not, I think, like, being disciplined and being so determined and headstrong and confident and bold and saying what you think. And in my mind, they're like quite masculine qualities. And a woman is more agreeable and considers the other people's thoughts on their ideas. I don't know if I'm articulating that very well, but I think I thought years ago that it was very masculine or feminine. And now I think you can combine both, and we are both. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think?
I want to circle back to this, but I want to touch one more thing on the Dine Wilder. The places that you create, they're so beautiful. That is one that I think beauty is a very feminine thing. and experience based. How do you create and curate that beauty? What do you think of when you put it together?
I think beauty is a feeling. And
Mm.
I don't live in the most beautiful home in the world. My mum always brought me up to buy the worst house on the best street. And so that was my goal. So we bought a home that was built in 1952. And everyone told me, you can't buy that house. It's ugly. It's a tear down. It's X, Y, and Z. And I just thought, I know how this home can feel. And now every single person that walks in my house, the first things they say is, it's so cozy, it's so beautiful. And I think, this is the same house you all told me not to buy. And all I've done is paint it white and I've done barely any renovations. And it's because of the feeling, I think, when it's the same as a dinner, when you greet someone, when you send someone the welcome email to your business, when they enter your Instagram page, when you meet them at the school gate, that feeling to me that someone can give me, the most beautiful person in the room, to me is like the warmest and the one that brings everyone together, and the one who even just really quietly emulates like quiet feminine confidence. Even you don't need to be loud in doing it. um so it's the same as a Dine Wilder event. The places that we host, for those who haven't been, we host in masculine spaces. Like, I love the polarity of both things. We host in butchers with, like, we've literally had, and I was a vegan for 10 years, so I apologize if this offends anyone. We've had like dead cows hanging in the background of the butchers while we have this stunning long table dinner where we talk about sustainable meats, and candles everywhere. We've eaten in dusty old bookshops where um, you can't help but walk in and say it's so beautiful. But if you'd have come 4 hours before or 90 minutes before, you would never have used the word beautiful. Um, so I think it's the feeling of how you greet someone. And I think massively lighting. People talk about music, but for me, lighting creates a really beautiful feeling in space wherever it is. And of course, there is something about Dine Wilder that just brings together the most amazing human beings. Honestly, I go to every single thing that exists, and there's something about every single person that walks through the door at Dine Wilder, from all different walks of life, all different ages, all different backgrounds. Some people who are working, some people who are the CEO of huge corporations. And every single one of them has in common the same desired outcome: to lift everyone else in the room, to connect, not in a transactional, like LinkedIn way, in like a real, who are you behind the title way. Um, and it makes every space feel beautiful.
Love it. When you go, you talk about going into every room, and you're out. She's at all the events in the city. You'll see her everywhere. What is your mindset going into the rooms? How do you connect to all these people? Share your wisdom.
I just, something randomly that just came to mind. If I'm ever in a room where I do have a bit of imposter syndrome, or I think, gosh, are these my people? I don't know. Or if I feel intimidated by someone, I lead with that and I just walk over to people and I say, I feel so awkward. Like I say, I have no one to talk to. Can I stand with you? And people love it that you've just been honest, because you know what? If you feel like that, if that room has created that feeling for you, or me, who is like the most extroverted, it's very likely they feel the same. So I always just name the feeling and it sparks conversation. Um, I also ask people constantly to tell me something. I don't want to ask, like, where are they from? What do they do? What their name is? What their title is? I just say, tell me something. And everyone says, like, what? And I'm like, anything, anything. And the moment when you ask a stranger to tell you something at a networking event or in a coffee shop or wherever you are at a party, there's this like moment of anticipation that hangs in the air where they don't know what they're going to say. They think that you're a crazy person. And as this moment happens where they decide to trust you and pull a story from their brain, you get to know them so quickly in what they tell you. And it could be that they ran out of milk this morning and that their toddler had a tantrum and that they've had to deal with it. And then it sparks an argument with their wife or whatever. Or it could be like, oh my God, I just got a new job this week. Or I really miss my mum. Or my dad's got cancer. Like the stories that people come up with when you ask them to tell you something, you get to know the real person. I'm not really that interested in what level in the C suite you're at, or obviously that's really cool as well. And you are ambitious to be in this room with me, and that's amazing. But like, who are you? So I know it sounds a bit weird, but I do say, tell me something. Um, and what I always do is I wear things that make me feel really confident. I think if you step out of the door in an outfit where you don't really want to be seen in it, you are not going to interact in the best possible way in that room. Like, I've felt for years like it's so frivolous that I get dressed up every single day. Or even my husband, God love him, he's amazing, but he's like, why don't you just go out in your Lulus or whatever? I'm like, I don't want to. I don't feel good like that. And I know that when I bump into someone in Walmart and, say I've not got washed hair and I don't feel good about myself, the interaction that we have, maybe it is shallow, I don't know. And I have so much respect for someone that can do that the same with the unwashed hair. I can't, and I know that. So I wear things that feel really me, not that are fashionable, not that are on trend, that suit my body, even if it's, as you might have seen on Instagram, my grand's clothes from 1960. As long as they fit well, even if it's the same dress you've worn to every single networking event that month, because nobody cares, you will interact differently and hold yourself differently in the room. And even just doing that without talking to anyone will attract all of the right people to you, same as it did for me and you, Sarah. So I think we need to stop overlooking how we look. It's not for other people, it's for us, it's for how we move through the room. Um, and again, it just works for me. So I'm not like preaching anything, but I know that's how I feel best. And I'm having quite a good life experience wearing the dress and being in the rooms.
I believe people are craving that. They're drawn to beauty and they're inspired by beauty. So when they see a woman who's actually enjoying her femininity, enjoying, you have your hashtag wear the damn dress, who's wearing the damn dress. And for context, if you're not from here, Vancouver is a very casual city. It's a Lululemon city. Where she lives, an hour away, it's a mountain town. It's even smaller. It's even more casual. So you don't need to wait to be in this right situation or the right place to dress up. Like the impact you have, even in these cities, is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that actually, because yeah, for those of you who don't know, Squamish, where I live, is this old logging town where it is not really appropriate to wear this dress to go to the supermarket. Like, it's just not. And I drove through this town in 2016 and I said to my husband, I would never live in that town. And now we live here and I've just made it something different by creating the things that were missing. And so if you do live somewhere similar, definitely please don't think I'm living in this like high flying place where it's appropriate to dress like this. It isn't. But you're also living in the place where there might be a huge gap in the market for something. There was nowhere women could go and get dressed up before I started Dine Wilder. And now people's partners stop me on the street and say, I just got goosebumps then when I was saying that because I'm thinking of a man that stopped me last week. Thank you for creating this dinner thing because my wife seems more like her. Like when she goes to Dine Wilder, I get excited because I see the version of her that I met and I can see she feels confident when she comes back. I don't know what you do at them, but she feels really good when she gets home. So definitely, I'm so glad you said that. It doesn't matter where you live, like you are the destination. Like just dress however you feel good.
I actually want to touch on this. So sometimes when you're doing this, you're standing out from the crowd and it can trigger certain people. And you were recently on a podcast, and the way And the situation that happened, if you're okay to touch on it, I think you dealt with so beautifully. And I think these types of situations come up in women's lives all the time, but aren't dealt with in the way that you did it. So would you mind sharing some of it?
Yeah, so oh, like bizarre situation really, but ended up being amazing. So I live an hour one way outside of Vancouver, and there's another woman who lives an hour the other way outside of Vancouver. And so as I'm looking for who's in the world of community building, this lady's name, Christine, kept coming up all the time, who owns something called YVR Creatives. My thoughts, amazing. We must have so much in common. She's hosting events for women, she's empowering women, she's wearing the dress. She also doesn't live somewhere like uber cool historically, and she's changing what's happening around her and bringing the people together. I was so excited to meet this woman. We then had a few interactions at about four different events where I could just feel her energy. She did not want to be around me. And I just couldn't get my head around it because I thought, but we must have so much in common. All of our marketing copy is the same. We're using the same words: community, connection, conversation, collaboration. And so there was like the fourth event where we'd met, and people's energy will tell you a lot if you're open to receiving it. And on the face of it, it was a fact, like the interaction was fine between her and I. But as I drove home at 11 p.m. in the dark along the Sea to Sky Highway, I couldn't shake this feeling of what was that energy from Christine? It was so strange, so closed off. She doesn't like me. And so I thought, okay, so you've got two choices. You can go into storytelling, you can put language to it that you have no evidence of. It's just the feeling that you had. And you never work with Christine again. And you probably don't send anyone to her events. Or you call Christine at 11 p.m. and you ask her to talk about it. So I tried. She didn't, I think I tried to call her on Instagram. She didn't answer. So I left her a voice note. It was quite unhinged, even for me, actually. And I said, I don't know what it is, but I think you don't like me. And I don't know why, because we must have loads in common. I know that I sound like I'm 6 years old. We don't need to be friends. You don't need to like me, but can we talk about it? Because I feel like you haven't got reason not to. And there must be so many commonalities between us. Sent it, no thought. Then I pull in the driveway and it's now like midnight and there's a message from Christine, and the startings of her response was, Emily, you trigger me. I was like, oh my God, what have I started? And I actually played it to my husband and said, listen to this, because I can't bring myself to hit play. Like, what am I going to listen to? And he said, it's amazing, come and listen. And she showed up with so much vulnerability, honesty, was just so raw and real and open, and listed why she felt like she couldn't be around me. She didn't want to be near my energy, but then went on to say, because I have so much respect for you. It opened up this incredible conversation and now friendship where we got on the phone and talked it through. And she said, I've been working through some things over the last couple of years. I've been building my business for years. You have appeared from nowhere. You charge 4 times the amount of my events. You are a mum, which is something I've struggled with. I take it so seriously being a mum. You don't seem to. You seem to have so much fun being a mum. You throw the spaghetti at the wall in your business and learn in the process while everyone's watching. I've always tried to get to like be perfect before I offer anything. Um, and you also just like ooze this feminine energy and dress however you want. And you just seem to be so lighthearted. And every single thing about that triggers me, but I also think it's amazing. So I kind of knew that it was going to be a great conversation. And so we actually filmed the conversation, and there's a whole podcast of us talking about it. which we can share afterwards, or you'll see it on my Instagram. And the response has been amazing because there's so many people that have reached out to say, God, the woman at the daycare drop, maybe I do like her. Maybe she's there to teach me something. Why is she triggering me? Oh God, the woman at work that got the promotion instead of me. It's not her problem. What is it that's triggered me about that? And it's sparked all of these amazing conversations. And what it's really taught me is just say the thing, be prepared for the other person not to join you. Like the magic of this situation, I did the ridiculous thing of reaching out and naming it, but Christine met me halfway and said, this is how I'm feeling. And if she hadn't have met me with such honesty, this magic wouldn't have continued to ripple. So yeah, it's been incredible. And now we are really collaborating behind the scenes, not in a, we're hosting an event. And so it's cool because we share audiences and all the things. It's like, no, she's calling me saying, how do I sell this conference? And I'm saying, okay, this is what I did. And to me, that's real collaboration. I know this wasn't your question, but it's been like hot topic in everything that I see at the moment is this C word of collaboration. And I think us women are taught that it means to partner with another brand, another business, another person, and tell the world that we're working together. I've had lots of that. Some of them aren't actually that collaborative behind the scenes. They don't want to still share information with me. They don't want to share the finances with me. They don't, it just looks to the outside world like we're so collaborative. That's what women have to do. Firstly, you don't have to. You can build things on your own if you want with the support of others in a different way. But also, collaboration means the bits that no one can see. And so now it's so cool that Christine and I are helping each other in that way. It's been like completely amazing.
I love that. I love that you went into the awkward, and I think we need to do that more. It just opens the door, and I really like what you're saying about collaboration. I saw that she also came to your house, and I want to transition into that because if you see her events online, they are stunning, they are perfect. But then she also has this messy, beautiful life behind the scenes where she hosts. So tell me how you switch from going from kind of these perfect curated to what you do at home and how you approach hosting and creating magic in your everyday life.
Well, that is actually the real me. I'm like extremely perfectly imperfect. And I am the house where I want you to come and spill your wine on the carpet and you don't need to apologize. We just clean it up. It's just a rug. It doesn't matter. And so the people that know me know that's how I am. That's how I parent. Like my children are rogue. They're just like roaming outside. They don't wear anything that looks perfect. And they're just kids. And it's the way I operate everything. The problem I was finding is I then create this beautiful events company. And then you pair that with turning up at the grocery store in the perfect outfit, looking all put together. It was giving me like major, don't know, I just felt really uncomfortable with it because people were stopping me and saying, we'd love to come, but it's too perfect. Like, we don't fit the vibe of the dinner, or they were using the word bougie, and I thought, oh God, that isn't me. So for a while, I was worrying and a bit stuck on how do we make this look less perfect to the world? The beauty and the problem of having a professional photographer at every single thing you do is it naturally looks extremely elevated. The nature of having a dress code means everyone who would normally have unwashed hair has gone and washed their hair and they've pulled out a ball gown to wear in the butchers, or they've pulled out a dress that they've not tried on for 20 years, and they all look uber confident. So when you're sat from home watching it in your sweatpants, it looks unattainable. So I thought, you know what? The last 18 months have been so full on with work, hosting and attending networking events, where everything now looks so pristine and polished. I need to go back to the basics and just open the door to everybody again and just say, come. And I, I just tell everyone, and the hostess with the leastess, I'm not working. You can come round. I'm not providing anything. There's the glassware. Put your own drink in it. Bring your own nibbles, and I'll provide the roof over your head. And you know what? People love it because they're not having to host. They don't have to clean their house. There's magna tiles on the floor. The kids are there playing. They're 3 and 5. Like, step over them, play with them if you want. They are going to fly down the stairs on their snowboards while the house is full downstairs of women drinking wine. Um, and I think it's given so many people that have been permission to just go home, and um, it's so built up, like the whole hosting thing on Instagram. Like, you have to have the perfect napkins and this tablescape and all. Everyone stops me and says, "Oh, we love hosting. We do this with our napkins." And I think, oh God, I've got a team. I like the feeling. I like the conversation at the table. To me, of course, it looks beautiful. Why would it not? Why are we not allowed to sit at the most beautiful table? But when the yellow napkins arrive instead of the blue ones I thought I'd ordered, or when the flowers don't arrive and we have to go on the side of the road and clip them an hour before the dinner, I don't care, and no one even notices, and it all looks beautiful. And I tell people that we made those mistakes because it makes them feel capable of hosting in their house. Um, and I'm really passionate. If you do have a baby or children or a really full life or an imperfect house that's partway through a reno or whatever, um, nobody else cares as much as you about your house. And people are just so happy for you to be opening your door. No one's going to come and remember that the bathroom tap was dripping or whatever it might be, that you didn't cook this amazing meal. Like, order takeout and put it on cute plates. Serve it in a, like, this perfection. I just don't love myself. And when I go to someone's house that is so perfect, I don't sit down anywhere and I'm worried about what the kids are doing. And I don't want to knock my drink over on their expensive cushion. And for me, everything that we have is to be enjoyed by everyone in the community. And so it's been like the perfect tonic for me to go back to basics of come over, dressed in whatever you want, however you are, bring your own things, and let's just have conversation. It also shows people who don't come to Dine Wilder because they feel nervous how it might feel to be at an event. The only difference is the table looks more beautiful and we're all dressed up. But it gives them permission to come to the next dinner. Everyone says that walks in, "Oh God, I think I could come to a dinner now. Now I know you better." So it also is like amazing for the business, but it was never meant to be for that.
Mhm. If you could call out one pattern that keeps women stuck, what would it be?
I think the need for perfection. I think like social media has kind of fed into that. Thank goodness it's catching up, and we now know that everyone wants to see the mess and knows everyone wants to watch the journey. They say record you um, building rather than the finished product. That's what people now want, which is so cool and so freeing if you are a business owner or a mom or whoever. Um, yeah, I think probably from everyone that I cross paths with, it's this need for this perfect product. They want to create the perfect course before they sell it. And then they're wondering why it's not selling. Well, it's not selling because you don't know what's going to sell. And maybe you sell a little bit more high level and then you build it once you've seen what people actually want. Um, and that's kind of the same for all different aspects of life. But yeah, probably that. And also, like, not wanting to take up space. Like, why can't we? There's loads of space. We can all take up space.
Mhm. Do you feel like you've always trusted yourself like you do now, or is that something you've built over time?
I feel awkward saying it, but I've always trusted myself. Um, if there are any mums on the call, though, other than Joy, I think it's also really empowering because I think it comes from my mum. So I think you can learn it, and I help a lot of people learn it. Um, you just need to be surrounded by the right people that will give you that self trust. But also, if you're a parent, how cool that we might be able to control how capable our kids feel.
Mhm.
Um, and same goes for your friends. And I've got a lot of friends who really lack self confidence. And when you really understand that the rest of the world doesn't care about us as much as we think they do, everyone's in their own little world, operating in their own little space. We care for 2 seconds and then we're on to our own thing. And it's really freeing when you realize people aren't so caught up in us as we think they are. Um, you then give yourself permission to do everything imperfect and before you're ready and to just try. And you know what? You don't really want to be around the people that are pretending to be perfect either.
It's exhausting.
Yes.
It really is. Okay, Emily, this is amazing. Thank you for being so honest, and I love your heart. You can feel your heart every time you speak. I want to open this up, guys. If you have any questions or comments on what we chatted about today, we're going to open the floor to you guys for a second.
So there's like so many takeaways from this, and I've been like, like I admire Emily and her energy. It's amazing. And I'm taking one of her, like one of the things that she said, like just ask the question. So we're talking about feelings, and you evoke like all the positive feelings. I know that you said like you trigger some people, but for me, you evoke like all those positive feelings. So I want to ask you, like there were people who were telling you, like where this is going. And I know that all the time you are like, you'll just say. So has there been any time where you are just like living, like doubting yourself? And how have you been shaking that off? Like from people that may not trust you 100%. And you're just like, you'll see, but I'm still having that feeling of like, okay, like it's living with me, right?
Yeah, I think, do you know when I felt it the most ever in my life? In the last 2 weeks, because I went and visited the UK. And I was just telling Sarah before the call, my mum's home is built in 1604. It's like ancient for Canadian standards. And with that comes an older mindset too from the people that live there. And it's really endearing and it's so charming. And the first week, I was just in awe of where I was. And I adore the people that live there. But by the second week of my trip, I started to feel really flat. I didn't look it and you wouldn't have known. But even my husband was like, we went out for a little date day and left the kids. And he said, this is the most quiet I've ever seen you. And he said, I think it's because you've been burning the candle too much and you finally crashed. And I said, do you know what it is? It isn't, I'm not around anyone that can dream big. No one knows anything other than what they've always known. And it made me, I already knew it to be true, but being away from all of you and everyone that I surround myself with, it was really, really, really evident that it how much it affects you, because I think anything is possible and there's like no goal that you could tell me that I would laugh at you about or that I would question that you're capable of achieving. But even I was starting to think last week on week 3, what am I even doing? I was like, what is the point? This is stupid. No one's going to buy that. Why would anyone spend their money doing that? I'm doing dinners. I'm going to offer consulting. Why would anyone ask me? I've only got 2 years' experience. Well, this week, I just knew I needed to like guard my energy the moment I landed. And so, day one, which sounds so ridiculous, but I am such a people person. I go out of the house every day and work from a coffee shop. I don't actually think it's very good for us to be working from home 5 days a week. Um, you don't even have to speak to anyone, but it is really contagious, the energy of being sometimes, I know it's not for everyone, but even if it was like an hour a day around the energy of other people. And it also makes you get up, get dressed, wash your face, like get in the car, go somewhere, even if it's just the interaction with the person you're buying the coffee from, it changes us. that we're supposed to be in community. Um, so I decided day one I wasn't going to see anyone, and I was just going to sit here with my jet lag and just like assess how I was feeling and why I felt like that and what I could do to change it. And I did loads of movement. I felt called to not work and just move. And for me, I'm so action based. And so every day this week, I have literally done like a 2 hour run or power walk. I'm not even that fit, but I just knew I needed to like shake out the energy. And then I've been going to coffee shops and just being around everyone else that's building. I don't even know what they're building, but it looks fun that they're on their laptop and they're working and they're having a little bit of chat. And so I would say, do not overlook who you're surrounding yourself with. And that can go for online too. Like, we're in control of what we see online. People talk negatively of the algorithm actually wants to deliver to you what you want to see. It's delivering to you what you're interacting with. So actually, it's quite empowering that we can see whatever we want. My social media is incredibly positive, and when people talk about it with such a negative connotation of like, well, we're putting social media down, we're not looking at our phone, it's because you're comparing yourself, probably, perhaps, to someone who maybe holds up a mirror to you, or maybe just like isn't the person you need to be looking at right now. Like, fill it with positive things. If you care about animals, like fill it with amazing stories of animal care around the world. You know, it can be like anything. For me, it's positive business stories and human connection. So you can take time even from your home in seeing what you're open to from your phone. But definitely surround yourself with people who are going to fuel your dreams. And if you think they might give you any negative pushback on what you're trying to do, you can love them and be around them, but you don't have to share it with them. Just do it and then show them when you've done it. Like, nobody asked me about work while I was at home. The only odd person that did was really negative about it. And after that, I just thought, I don't need them to understand. I just need to not share it because it's actually affecting my mood right now. So yeah, in the last 2 weeks, I've had the doubt. And now I'm like day 4 back in Canada. I'm like, oh, we can do anything.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, like that's very good advice, to be honest. And I'm glad that you
All the
shared that
time.
because yeah, like you evoke like all this positivity, and I love it, right? And it's just like so good to be around you, and like what you are preaching. So yeah, thank you for sharing the hard ones too.
Thank you. I also think you can do it while you've got the self doubt, while you've got the imposter syndrome. Like, I value the doing. It's not to say I don't feel like that. I hosted a conference last year after being told I wouldn't be able to. And I kind of knew it was going to be really, really difficult because I had no experience, but I still did it. And then the next time, you've got the confidence and you don't have the self doubt. And now I'm going into it year 2 feeling completely capable. But I did it all of last year, really quite nervous and really doubting myself, almost pulling the plug on it, but I still did it. So it's not to say wait till those feelings are gone or avoid them. Just like keep your feet moving, even when you're feeling like it. Just try the event. And like, I know Marta hosts events too. Um, if only 2 people came to your event, as long as it makes sense financially and you're not having a huge output on expenses to host it, you might really impact those 2 people coming. And the 2 people will go away and tell 5 people each on how great it was, and they'll share it online. And then the next one, you might have 6 people. You don't need to sell out the whole event every single time as long as you're not at a loss, you know?
Okay, we can maybe take 1 or 2 more questions or comments.
I really appreciated your comment about saying when you're nervous because I teach online and sometimes you are nervous, especially if it's a new session, trying something different. And I find that saying it does 2 things. Number one, it makes you humanly approachable, right? Like it makes you a person that people can go, oh, okay, I can be vulnerable about that. And that's what you want people in a classroom to allow themselves to be. Learning is always a vulnerable moment. But if you have your guard up because you're here because you think you need to perform and not to learn, that's a whole different vibe. So it does that. But the other thing it does is nerves are afraid of the limelight. So if you call them out, they scatter. And suddenly, by having said it, you no longer are as nervous as you said it, which you might as well update the statement. Oh, I'm not feeling it anymore. But anyway, the saying it dispels it and it allows everyone into the space of also feeling vulnerable. And I'm glad that you touched on that because it doesn't get brought up very often.
Absolutely. I find it's the best way to just drop all pretenses and just say, I feel like this. I ask really awkward questions all the time, and I just lead with, like, I feel really awkward, but so many things, problems, difficulties, conflict is every single time I see it play out in any situation, whether it's my children to like world leaders, it's communication. It's a problem with communication or a lack of, or people being so in their ego they don't say how they're feeling. Um, I have a business partner with Graze Wilder as well, and she wouldn't mind me saying, like, any time we've got to a sticky point, it's because one of us hasn't said how they're feeling, and we've kept pushing the feeling down. And then before you know it, you have resentment towards one another. Happens with your partner, it happens with friends. It's better to just own it every single time, I think, but also be prepared that the person that you're speaking to might not meet you in the same headspace, but they might later on. It's happened a few times where someone circled back a couple of months later and said, you know what? I'm sorry I responded in this way, but it sparked some deep reflection. And it's not to say I'm right ever, but I'm always the one saying, well, let's just have the conversation. So yeah, I totally agree. And thanks for sharing. It'll be really inspiring for the people that you're teaching to hear you say that as well, if you're the one leading it.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we're going to move on. Emily is hosting a conference on October 25th. And whether you're local or you're not local, you should travel for this conference. But I want to pass it over to you and you can share a little bit about what to expect.
Feast is the conference I've touched upon unintentionally on the call. It is the day that selfishly I just could not find existed. Um, I have been in between jobs. I've been the admin assistant, the server, the manager. I've managed huge portfolios for shopping malls. I've done all sorts of things. I've been the newborn mum, and so many times I felt like there wasn't a room for every single one of those people to be in. And so Feast is a whole day immersive with the structure of a conference where I invite you to wear the thing that you feel most confident in. And we have 4 speakers. We have a mimosa cocktail breakfast bar, lots of non-alcoholic options as well. We have a really long, abundant lunch as if it's like a wedding. Everybody receives a $400 to $500 gift bag. We have no VIP tier because everyone's just treated the same. And it's food for your mind. And I want people to leave thinking, like, people actually last year said to me on the way out, what the fuck did we just go to? Like, what was that? And I'd say to them in a good way. And they're like, oh, we feel alive. We feel like shaken up. And that's how I want people to feel. My coach said to me, sometimes the best KPI is the goosebumps on people's arms. And she said, this room is full of 110 women whose arms are full of goosebumps. So there's all different topics that we're talking about. We've got health, we've got Sarah, which I'm so excited about, is going to come and speak as well. I think, when would we ever really go to a conference where it's a professional development write-off and also we're being told and taught how to hold ourselves in a boardroom? Or, it's like, I've never experienced that. So as soon as I met Sarah, I knew that I wanted her involved in Feast. I think it's so tangible that you can leave and be in any situation post Feast and think, oh, this is how I could carry myself at the PTA meeting at the grocery store. Um, so we've got some of the most incredible speakers actually that exist. We've even got someone coming from Australia, which I'm super excited about. And I just want people to come and feel confident and capable and alive and like they can just dream so much bigger. And the women that come truly want each other to win. Um, so you'll leave with a whole new community of human beings, like the ripple effects that were felt after the last feast. I still drive past people in the city or in Squamish and they've met at Feast and they're now working together or they've hired one another or they're friends and they're breastfeeding babies that they've had together. It's so amazing. So I'm hoping this year I don't need to go into the granular detail of the whole day and every single moment. I just wanted last year to happen so that I had proof of concept and that everyone would just know Feast is a room they can't miss. So it's on the 25th of October and it's here in the Forest of Squamish. There's this incredible building on stilts and it's got floor to ceiling windows. So you feel like you're in the forest. There's hundreds of acres. You can go out and see the goats and the animals and put your Blundstones on. We have a boot check, so you can swap your heels out for Blundstones if you want to, or you can stay inside. It's for every woman at every stage of life.
When I went last year, it was first year it was on, first year I went. And I go to a lot of events, and a lot of times you hear the speakers and you leave with really nothing, like nothing that impacts you. And I went there, and there's four speakers through the day, and there's so much information. And the drive home to where I live is about an hour away. And I was driving, and about every 10 minutes, I felt like a new download of what I had just heard and how it was applicable to my life. And I was dealing with something personal at the time. And by the end of that hour drive, I was like, oh, like I felt like I could exhale. And I had received golden nuggets throughout the day from all this wide variety of speakers that hits so like it hit so deep and it made such an impact. So it's an incredible conference.
Thank you so much for sharing your time this morning.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Bye.
Love you
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.